Space Jam 2 is one of the biggest messes I've ever had the pleasure of watching on the big screen, and I couldn't be happier. A part of me wanted to like Space Jam 2. A running joke for this year seems to be how I can't manage to enjoy any new movie that comes out, well besides Luca. And Space Jam 2 appeared to be such an obvious addition to that pile that I almost wish it was good and I liked it, just to upset people. But no, I really did not enjoy Space Jam 2, it was a disaster. An entertaining disaster, but this film just screams corporate, and that every decision behind it had some ulterior motive. That ulterior motive, of course, being money, but I'll get more into that when we talk about the film itself. I mean, did you see just how hard they went with the licensing with this movie? They put it on everything under the goddamn sun. Monopoly boards, mobile tie-ins, a stretchy LeBron James thing. They went insane with the merchandising. Even releasing a licensed beat-em-up game. Remember licensed games? Speaking of video games, today's video is sponsored by Darkfire Heroes. Darkfire Heroes is a free-to-play real-time hero squad RPG set in a fantasy world in peril, where you must collect epic heroes, set your team, and save the realm. Choose the ultimate team with more than 50 heroes and brawl in real-time PvP arenas against players all over the world. Or try the massive campaign, with immersive and handcrafted level design. There's even new live events each month, with challenging game modes and new heroes to collect. Wait a minute, Mark, wait a minute. You're going way too fast here. This game sounds spectacular. Well, you're right, viewer. I'm doing this fast-paced, just like the fast-paced thrills and excitement you'll get from playing the game, with this innovative new way to control the battle, with real-time power aiming. Click the link below to download Darkfire Heroes today, and help support my channel by joining my clan, and together, we can unlock more epic heroes, and keep the realm safe from all the corrupted minions. So click that link to get playing today. And thanks to Darkfire Heroes for sponsoring this video. I think when discussing Space Jam 2, it's almost impossible to not bring up the first one. A big thing I see when people criticize the new movie is adults crying, you're just nostalgia blind for the first movie, it wasn't good either! And to that I have to say, why does the first movie not being good mean that the filmmakers get a pass when making the new one bad? And the first movie fucking rules, what are you talking about? I watched the original Space Jam in preparation for this video for the first time in about 15 years. And was it good? Nope. But I cannot and will not say that it isn't a super charming and fun movie that I absolutely loved. I think it's the simplicity to it. There's no fat to that movie at all. It's short and to the point. Looney Tunes gotta do a basketball game, they pull down Michael Jordan, they train, then they do the basketball game, that's it. I bring this up for when we discuss the plot of the sequel. And yet, it might also be corporate and done for the sake of advertising, but at least they're not disguising it, they make plenty of jokes about it.
Just how did you get here, anyway?
Producer's a friend of mine, just had a teamster come and drop me off, you know.
I mean, the entire reason the Space Jam franchise exists was because of a popular Super Bowl ad for Air Jordans. Of course it's only made for the sake of money. But I don't really care about that in relation to the first movie, because the rest of it is just fun and entertaining anyway. So anyways, without further ado, let's talk about Space Jam 2 and why it's a travesty. Alright, so Space Jam 2 revolves around basketball star LeBron James. Warner Brothers has this algorithm that wants to digitally insert him into all their properties, and he says it's a dumb idea. This causes the algorithm, called Algorithm, to get pissy, and so he kidnaps LeBron along with his son, who he's been having trouble with because he wants his son to go to basketball camp, but his son wants to go to E3 camp. Yes, that's real. So Don Cheadle challenges LeBron to a game of basketball in exchange for his freedom. If James wins, then he and his son get to go home, and if Don wins, he has to stay with them forever. So now LeBron must team up with Bugs Bunny and get a crew together to fight in this wacky video game version of basketball. Bugs needs to play basketball. They pull down Michael Jordan. They train. They play the game. Not to immediately jump into the negatives because, again, there are genuinely good things I enjoyed about this film, but this is so damn bloated and convoluted. Whoever they had writing this must have been struggling to find an excuse for the Toons to play basketball again, because this is just awful. They try to cover so much here and I just don't give a shit. I just want to see the Looney Tunes play fucking basketball. Want to know how long it takes them to actually get to the match? An hour. When they finally do get to the basketball match, I was having a ball. Pun unintentional. But I really was enjoying myself. Getting to see the Toons do their stuff, be loony. But then it just keeps going and going to the point where I just want them to wrap things up. Want to know how long the basketball match lasts? An hour. Why does Space Jam 2 need to be 2 goddamn hours long? The pacing here is so slow. I wish they'd just stripped away so much of this bloated story in exchange for a more simple and compact film. I don't mean to keep bringing up the original film, and believe you me, I'm not trying to make it out to be perfect because it has many flaws like awful dialogue, terrible CGI, but it knows what it is and it knows that this idea does not warrant being any longer than an hour and a half. Just to compare for a sec, in the original film the basketball match starts at the 50-minute mark, but it itself only lasts around 30 minutes. It doesn't take up another fucking 50. By the time in Space Jam 2 where they're starting the final match, the original film was nearing its conclusion. And I wouldn't care if something interesting were going on in that time, but no, the story practically halts at this point because they gotta show us the match. This story had a lot of opportunity to be good, if allowed to devote some more screen time to it. Like how Don Cheadle kept referring to the Looney Tunes as the rejects. They keep implying that the tunes are washed up and nobody cares about them anymore, but they never actually do anything with it. You know what would have been a perfect approach to a new Looney Tunes movie? Look no further than the 2011 Muppets film. A movie all about the fact that nobody cares about the Muppets anymore, and them getting the gang back together to try recapture what they once had. How about you have a film where the Toons realize they haven't done anything truly big and successful since, well, the first Space Jam. But no, the Toons barely do anything. They have no reason to be invested in the game up until the moment where it starts, where Don adds the condition that they'll be deleted if they lose. In the original movie, they were the ones at stake. They were the ones who needed Michael Jordan's help. The issue here is I don't give a shit about LeBron James or his son because I don't buy any of their performances. Michael Jordan was not a good actor in the original Space Jam, but it doesn't stick out as much because he's played as the straight man. He's very calm and mellow and doesn't emote much, so a stiff performance makes sense in that regard. Not to mention you like him because they just constantly beat down on the poor fella, make fun of his baseball career, call him bald, he's treated as a joke. But LeBron is nowhere near as likable because he sucks so bad at acting here. They keep trying to make him all wacky and have him emote, but he's incapable of doing it. I mean, just listen to him scream.
I'm not a joke! No.
What's the matter, LeBron? You try not to wake up the kids in the next fucking room? Scream! The other aspect is that they do nothing but suck him off the entire movie. Do nothing but call him King James, keep saying he's like the bestest basketballer in the whole world. The whole reason Don Cheadle wants him for the Warner Brothers is because he's perceived as like the most famous guy in the world. Telling me that I'm supposed to like this guy makes me actively start to hate him. You know what else makes me hate this movie? The awful dialogue.
Did you just say, please dad?
No, I said please.
Dad.
Again, original movie, pretty bad dialogue, but it was nowhere near on this level. At least when it wanted to have a shitty joke, it would just go on for about 10 or so seconds. It just moved right past it. We did not need a fucking 2-minute scene of Porky Pig rapping here. And then after he raps, like 5 different characters need reactions of like, whoa dude, that was freaking lit bro. He just fucking spit some bars dude. The visuals of the film were one of the big redeeming factors for me. I was initially a tad put off by it in the trailer. You know, something about these digital backgrounds looks a lot more lifeless than the really lush and vibrant looking ones from the original. But while I was watching it, I can't say it wasn't nice to see another 2D film on the big screen. And for the most part, the character animation was also pretty good. Aside from the kinda bad looking tween moments here and there where characters slide across the ground. I wasn't even all that opposed to the characters turning into CGI. They look good and are animated really well for the most part. I think this style of CG definitely looks better for the more two-dimensional characters such as Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote, and Bugs himself. But for more rounder ones like Porky Pig and especially Lola, they look like complete shit every time they were on the screen. They cannot emote for the life of them. But my point being, with all the special effects and animation going on, I can see that a ton of effort was evidently put into this in the visual department, even if it were just done for the sake of advertising other Warner properties. Just because a movie references a property you like does not equate to it being a good movie. You can like the references, but that doesn't mean that the movie is good. I can't believe that needs to be stated, but apparently it does. Was I surprised that Rick and Morty made a cameo? Did I laugh at the Big Chungus appearance? Did I find it amusing how this Pennywise extra clearly had no idea what he was supposed to be doing and just fumbled around doing nothing for 20 seconds? Yes, I liked those parts. But this film could have an all-star basketball team consisting of Sonic the Hedgehog, Timmy Turner, Brian Griffin, Curious George, and Adam Sandler, and my opinions on this would remain exactly the same. So basically, I'll sum up my thoughts on it like this. I love the stuff they do with the Looney Tunes. I actually didn't mind the section of the film dedicated to Bugs and LeBron, going to different Warner properties, recruiting the Toons to their squad. I thought that whole part was a lot of fun. But it's just a shame that they're barely in it. This is not a Looney Tunes movie, this is a LeBron James and Warner Brothers movie, featuring the Looney Tunes. It takes them 30 minutes to actually introduce Bugs Bunny. Then after the game starts 30 minutes later again, everything just kind of halts. I lose interest and the characters stop being the focus. So no. Before the Twitter users make some dumbass generalized statement making up reasons as to why I don't like it, I don't not like Space Jam 2 because it doesn't take itself seriously. Why would anyone want that? I don't like Space Jam 2 because it has shining moments of quality buried beneath a pile of boredom. After saying all that, however, go watch the movie. There's some modicum of fun to be had here amongst all the shit. Honestly, don't even go to the theater, watch it on HBO Max, so you can just skip through all the boring LeBron James son segments, and get right to the entertaining Looney Tunes stuff, because those are without a doubt the highlight. So once again, I shall reiterate, the original Space Jam is not a very good movie, but it has a ton of charm to it and doesn't overstay its welcome, while Space Jam 2 is not a very good movie that drags on for about 35 minutes too long, dedicates way too much time to characters that aren't the Looney Tunes, but can be quite fun when it does. And I guess to end this off, I'll just say, Warner Brothers, just make another solo Looney Tunes movie, you fucking idiots. Make Back in Action 2 for all I care.